Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com and today is the second Sunday of May, which means it is Mother's Day. So, first and foremost, a little history as to how we got our Mother's Day in the United States. There was an attempt made in the early 1800s, just after the Civil War, I believe is when it was. There was a push to have a day set up in remembrance of the mothers and wives that helped with the Civil War behind the scenes. And it was, for some reason, denied through Congress. It never got any traction, really. But in 1907 in West Virginia, there was a lady by the name of Anna Jarvis offered the first Mother's Day official service at the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church. And this, like I said, was in West Virginia. She started her campaign to recognize a day for mothers in 1905, which was the year that her mother had passed away, and it really impacted her. There were others that went all the way back to the Civil War that had tried for years to get a day specific to mothers, various different names, but the whole goal was to get a day set aside for the mothers. And everything up until this point had failed for, like I said, various reasons. But, so finally they brought a proposal in 1908, and this was denied again. But she had enough support at that point to really rally, and in 1914, Woodrow Wilson had officially signed the proclamation designating the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. So it had taken her several years of, I can only imagine, fighting with Congress to get it finally recognized as an official holiday on the calendar. And as I said earlier, it's not just in the United States. Ours became official in 1914, but there are Mother's Days in almost every culture that I have found worldwide. Norway holds theirs on around the second Sunday in February. The Middle East is split, so you have some that do theirs on like March 8th, and the other ones are on the equinox on March 21st. What I saw was there are very few countries that don't have a Mother's Day. So why do we celebrate Mother's Day in particular? Why do we have a day set aside specifically for our mothers? From a physical perspective, none of us would be here without our mothers. It's just a fact of life. It's the same with our fathers, but that's for another day. Today we're talking about the mothers. Mothers are the carriers of the eggs of creation. They are the vehicle that allows our bodies to be formed, built, and matured, for 40 weeks. A mother's body will do an amazing amount to protect the offspring. Even when the baby's still inside of her, her body will literally leach the nutrients that the mother would need normally just to make sure that the baby survives. And then after we are born, the mother's body will produce the food, the perfect food for their child. And it's the stuff that you need to really get your development going. We get our immune system and our digestive microbiome generally jump-started by our mothers feeding us. The first 6 weeks or so of life is really super important for that connection with the mother. And it also starts to build a bond between the mother and the child. And the bond is built in the womb, but it's extended outside through feeding their children. And as we grow up, our mothers always hold a special place in our lives. They're the comforters when we scuff our knee or we get that first broken bone, like a lot of us do. And they have at times to have to do discipline, but it's not something that they want to do, because we were inside of her and literally being carried by her for so long that when a mother has to discipline her child, it's like disciplining herself. Even if you never saw your mother cry when she disciplined you, she would go and have a moment afterwards, because it was, in a lot of ways, just as painful for her as it was for you receiving it. And again, I'm not leaving fathers out, but this is specific to mothers, and there is a very unique bond that is between a mother and a child. Mothers will do anything to protect or support their offspring, even to the point of hurting aspects of herself. With few exceptions, you can look around your life and see that your mother has done a great deal of things that were selfless to her to benefit each and every one of us as children. And if you're a mother and you're watching your little ones, you're going to do things in your life that are so selfless to the point of hurting yourself to make sure that your children have a better life or are prepared for life. So, from a spiritual perspective, since it's kind of a theme of my channel, the way our human mothers care for us is how the divine feminine cares for us. Only with the divine feminine, it's on a massively bigger size. Like, whatever your mom has done for you, divine feminine does it to the point where it's like it's on steroids. It's just massive. So the divine mother has been worshipped for literally millennia, thousands and thousands of years. Some of the very first art and sculpture and painting that we see is of the Divine Mother. And a lot of it has to do with the pregnant goddess. And this is to show that the life comes from the female. I mean, we know now that it takes two to tango, but a lot of the tribal cultures would see it as the woman was this magical device that created life. And so the nurturing mother concept, the mother of us all, was placed into the feminine in the older cultures. So even if you don't really believe in a goddess or divine feminine, think about how you talk in general. We reference things like Mother Nature, the planet itself in a female sense in the term Gaia. It's a very common thing, and no matter how much religions and politics have tried to stamp out this divine feminine aspect, she always finds her way to survive. The worship of the goddess, divine mother, divine feminine, lady, if you choose, is balanced by the worship of her male counterpart, which would be the god, divine father, divine masculine, or lord. And over time, the Divine Mother actually divided again. And this went into the concept of maiden, mother, and crone, which is the three aspects of the female life cycle. And from there, a massive feminine pantheon was developed around the world. This was a way for humanity to understand the amazing power that is the mother and the divine feminine. The same with the male, but again, that's for a later time. Each of these various female deities are aspects, parts of the divine mother, the consort to the Father God. Each one shows us a part of the whole. It was a way for us to conceptualize the totality of divinity, because, the human mind can only process so much, and when you're trying to understand the concept of divinity, you try to make it in your image. And so when they divide it into maiden, mother, crone, you can look at those time periods in life and be like, okay, that's what's going on. That's the aspect of the divine mother that I'm experiencing right now. And if you look at a lot of these older religions, most of them have deities that align within that maiden, mother, and crone aspect. You can reduce most pantheons around the world into, especially the feminine aspects of it, into the maiden, mother, crone aspect, which is a way to really express the essence of the divine feminine. So I've just said, maiden, mother, and crone. What that works out to is the maiden is the virginal woman. She's waiting for her Lord in the divine marriage. She's the innocence that resides within all of us. And the maiden is also the warrior aspect of the feminine, to a point. Like, she's the one that will stand side to side to protect her country and her culture. There we go. The mother aspect is the protective, caring part, where she is creating new life within her body, and she's making sure that her children are raised to their best experiences, basically making sure that they're ready for the world, so when she cuts them loose, they can survive. And she does some correction when necessary, and this aspect of the divine feminine, the mother aspect, has a very unique aspect of a warrior with it. Because the mother's warrior is protecting her children at all costs, whereas the maiden warrior is standing side to side with the Lord to protect everything. The mother aspect is solely focused on protecting her home and her children. And if you've ever heard the phrase, you never want to piss off a sow bear, because her cubs are more important than anything else. And that is the way most mothers will get with their children, is these children are my life, cross me and see what happens. And it's something that you can actually look through a lot of history and see that that is a very strong warrior when you're talking mother-children. Very protective. The crone aspect of the divine feminine is the aged, wise woman that offers advice and guidance that we need to pass through our lives, continue on, to train the next generation. And so the crone is really the elder teacher in this regard, and she is there to help us understand life, how we got here, helps teach the next ones, the survival techniques that we would need, and is there for advice. Like, you have those days where you just can't think straight and you're frustrated, so you would go to the crone to be like, help me, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's what her position was in a lot of these cultures. And so when you get into that, you can look at Diana, the goddess Diana from the Greeks, and Kali of the Hindu pantheon as two aspects of examples of these faces. Diana is the virgin huntress, and she's a warrior, but she's also still a maiden. In some of the myths, you'll see her eventually getting with somebody, but her main aspect is this maiden huntress type personality. And then you see Kali, who is this volatile warrior. She's a protector, but she has aspects of the crone and the mother, because she gives out really good advice and she helps guide souls into the reincarnation process. But if you are one of her protected ones, her children, she would destroy the world, literally, to protect you. That was her personality. So until recently, the last 1,500 years or so, all religious groups around the world had some form of the Divine Mother with them. You had a Divine Father and a Divine Mother. And even as the male-dominated Catholic Church came to power, the Divine Mother never lost her position. And you'll find out here soon how she's still here. She had to adapt, which, when you watch mothers, they adapt to great many things because that's their nature. They want to be there when you need the help. So in this new religious group, the Divine Feminine took on the aspect of Mother Mary within the Catholic Church, and not everyone still believes that way, but it's still an aspect of this Divine Feminine nature. In the last century, there has been a massive reawakening of the Divine Feminine through different groups, as in like some of the Wicca cultures have brought it back forward. The Druid cultures are bringing the goddess back. And you have it showing up in all of these different movies and literature that's coming out. Marion Zimmerman Bradley, I think's her name, or Braun, I can't remember. But she has a movie called The Mists of Avalon, but it's also based on a series with the priestesses of Avalon. And but it's talking about how the Divine Feminine has always been around, and she comes back into dominance, or at least into awareness, when we most need her, because that's a mother's calling. And so to have one, you have to have the other. So to have the masculine, you have to have the feminine. And so the divine feminine really is just making sure that the balance is being held. And so this is information that, I've put together, I've watched, it's things that I've researched because I wanted to understand why some of our earliest representations of the divine were almost exclusively feminine. The main thing here that I want to get across is we've always viewed mothers as very, very special, to the point where we literally made an entire aspect of divinity into the Divine Mother as one of the first ways for us as humans to understand the creative energy of God's source power. So having a day to celebrate mothers is really super important because that energy goes back through history as an aspect of the creative force of the planet. It is the balancing aspect to the masculine, and without the feminine, the masculine would constantly be at war with each other and we'd end up killing ourselves off. So you need that balancing of the nurturing, the caring, and that creative ability that a woman's body is made for. So make sure to tell your mom today that you do appreciate her, and to let her know how much you appreciate her through saying, I love you, thank you, I didn't understand everything you went through, but when I look back, I see it. Letting her know that, even if it's just something small like giving her a phone call, will make a humongous difference, because they want to make sure that you, as their child, are moving forward and are successful and are taken care of. That's what they want, probably more than anything else in life, to be honest with you. Do extras, that's fine, send chocolates, flowers, take her to dinner, but make sure you let her know that you do know, or you are aware, that she has done a great deal for you, even if you've never acknowledged it before this. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate all the views, and at this point I would like to offer a a gentle healing energy transmission directly to the mothers, the grandmothers, the future mothers, everyone like that who is watching. So my intention for this is to go through all time and space. No matter when you actually watch the video, the healing energy is going to be available for you at this time. And this is not a meditation, and I do a lot of those in my Facebook group, but this one's not a meditation. You can just sit back and relax, and you can have your eyes open or closed. That is up to you. Basically, just make sure that you're comfortable. I need to get my paper up here somehow. Oops. And for those of you who are new, I always have little notes because I get distracted and I will start going off on a tangent, so I have to keep my notes in front of me so I don't forget what I'm doing. But with this, it's going to be, I'm calling upon the divine aspect of the divine feminine to bring in a blessing for the mothers. So you can sit back and relax, just accept the energy as it comes through, and all you have to do is say, I accept it, or thank you for granting this to me, or however you want. And so, what I'm going to start with anyway, is asking the divine feminine, the essence of the lady, to come through, bringing waves of silver energy, wrapping the entire aura of the mother, my mother, your mother, if you're a mother, this is for you too, in her loving, warm embrace, bringing in rose pink energy, that loving energy directly from the heart of the source of all, bringing it down through the divine feminine, blessing the mother, activating that rose quartz energy, anchoring in that loving, peaceful, energy of the mother, and also the energy of gratitude. Gratitude from child to mother, thanking your mother, your grandmother, going back all generations to the first mother. That energy of gratitude, bringing it forward now in perfect love and perfect light. Thanking your mother, your grandmother, all the way back to the first mother for everything that they've done, all the sacrifices that they have made. And thanking all of the future mothers for all the sacrifices they will make through all space and all time. And anchoring this energy very gently into the aura of the mother in perfect love and perfect trust. And thank you, thank you, thank you to all mothers in all times. So a big blessing and thank you to all the mothers, and a big thank you to my mother as well for basically supporting me from a child to where I am at now and putting up with all my shenanigans in life. But I do want to say a big thank you. So, and like I said, give your mom a call today and let her know, or if she's already passed over, at least, send up a little thought being like, I'm still thinking about you and the big impacts that you've had on my life, and I appreciate everything, the good and the bad, because that's how we learn. And on that note, I will talk to you guys in a future video. Thank you very much.